What's up, and welcome back to another episode of InSights, the podcast built to help you with your recruitment and digital marketing. Joined this week by Brad Smith, Haley Marketing's Chief Strategy Officer. Brad, how are you feeling this week, buddy?
I'm feeling great. How about you, Brad? Thanks for having me on.
I'm good. I'm doing really well. It's good to talk to you. We had you on the show, I think maybe twice in 2025. Good to kick off 2026 with you here. You know, I like talking to you. I've been here long enough where I think we have good conversations anytime you come on the show, my friend.
Same. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, hey, I want to start right off the top. You know, you have, let's call it hundreds of calls throughout the year. I don't know your exact call number, but I know how busy you are in a given week. So let's say you had a couple hundred calls in 2025. When you think back to the year that was 2025, what's your biggest observation as you think about the staffing and recruiting industry?
That selling's tough. It's never been tougher. We are hearing and seeing from so many staffing companies looking for a silver bullet, looking for something that is going to 10x their salespeople, looking for something that might help them 10x the output of their salespeople. But for whatever reason, a lot of them that I talk to don't want to put quotas on calls and activity. And I think that's what's going to 10x things. So I've been hearing a lot of that. And then also I've been hearing a lot of end clients and employers sitting on the sidelines. So sitting back, waiting, not hiring, and staffing companies not thinking strategically about how do we get around that hurdle? How do we create demand? How do we change our product offering to better fit what companies are really looking for, which is probably predictability, stability, some cost control, and some cost savings. So I know that was a whole bunch of different topics there,
Yeah.
Brad, but that's what I'm hearing and seeing.
Why do you think staffing leaders are so afraid to put a quota or put a number to their sales team? If we know it's hard to get sales and we can accept that, listen, the industry is changing and how we sell is changing, buyer behavior is changing, why do you think leaders are still reluctant to put a quota on their team?
So it's interesting. I think probably because we haven't necessarily had to do that within the last 10 years, within the last decade. Sales have been inbound, sales have come in, and a lot of people in the industry right now, that's the reality that they've known. And I think changing behavior after 10 years is tough. And I think they're also looking at digital marketing as a savior, maybe automation as a savior, when it's a tool in the tool belt. It's not the savior. So I think probably having those discussions is tough. It's a hard one-on-one discussion to say, hey, you're not meeting your goal, and this is what's going to happen if you don't. I heard the analogy, and I think it was maybe Tom Erb that shared this. He said, what would a staffing owner do if their payroll person said to them, you know what, I got through half of my payroll this week because a lot came up. But I got through half of it. That was great, right?
Mm-hmm.
The staffing company owner would say, absolutely not. Payroll mission critical. We have to have 100% completion every single time. Yet we don't do the same in other areas of the company. So I think that is a big challenge. And I think that's something that the fastest growing staffing companies are doing right. And I don't want to generalize that everybody's not, holding salespeople accountable or doing the right sales activities to be successful. The fastest growing ones are, and those are the ones that are going to continue to gain market share as we head into 2026.
I know a lot of the clients and prospects I'm talking to, it's putting a sales system in place. It's knowing what sales rep A is doing compared with sales rep B. And in a lot of situations, companies not even having that structured sales system. And then two, it's also understanding the same number of touches that worked in 2020 is not working in 2026. If you can, walk us through what you learned at the AS group. How many touches does it take for someone to fundamentally know you exist?
So, I mean, historically, we've said, all right, maybe 7 to 10 touches. Then it was 15 to 20. I heard one staffing company tell me, and this is somebody who I highly respect. They track every detail in their business. They're one of those companies that are growing at a rapid pace. 72. It took 72 touches to have a really good sales conversation. Now, I don't want to say that that's 72 cold calls, 72 drop bys. That's 72 touches. So Marketing can be involved in those touches. And I think that's where it becomes that tool in your tool belt to help enable and get you to the right conversation. But 72. Now, that is in a large market in Texas. So in other markets, hopefully it's half that. But how many sales reps, how many staffing companies are getting to 72? And Brett, I want to clarify, I don't think that it's because people are lazy. I don't think it's because your salespeople aren't working. I think it's because they simply don't necessarily know exactly what to do. And when you're not seeing initial success after the second, third, or fourth time, our natural inclination is to give up. I think we need to build that structure around them and enable them with the tools, tactics, strategies, recommendations, campaigns, thought leadership to get them those touches, get them those at bats so that they can then close more sales.
And that goes back to change management. If you haven't had to sell historically in the past, you don't know what to do. You don't know the system. You're not following a playbook or a script, or script is the wrong word there, but playbook. You don't know what to do. So you show up Monday morning and you're being pressured that you need to drive leads or drive orders or whatever it might be. How? What am I supposed to do? I can get in my car and drop off donuts, or do some drive-bys or drop-bys. With who? Who am I going to? Who am I talking to? It's enabling the team and giving them the tools so that they can be successful in a way that makes them successful.
Yeah, and if you think about it, you come in Monday, you don't know exactly what to do. You want to be productive. You want to drive sales. It's not that they don't want this, but what's the
your
path
livelihood depends on being successful.
Right. What's the path of least resistance? Well, you're going to go do some prospecting. What does prospecting mean? I'm going to go out on LinkedIn. I'm going to search for lists. I'm going to try to find people that might be a good fit. I'm going to spend the first 3 hours of my day doing that. And then what am I going to do? I'm going to crank out some emails, and I'm going to introduce myself to people. I'm going to make some LinkedIn connections. And then maybe sit back and wait and hope that somebody responds to that. And what happens when they don't respond? I'm going to click repeat and do the same thing on Tuesday and the same thing on Wednesday, as opposed to having a really structured follow-up. So where I'm getting is that silver bullet doesn't exist. I think the real silver bullet is wrapping marketing support, outreach, all the prospecting, and doing that for the sales rep and delivering them the people that engaged at some level. And those are the people that the salesperson should call. So let's do that all for them. On Monday morning, let's deliver them all of those, I call them slightly lukewarm leads, those people that had engaged at some level, clicked on a piece of content, downloaded something, visited, came back to the site 3 or 4 times. Let's get those people to our sales reps, have them make those calls, have them do those drop-bys so that they're not wasting those 3 or 4 hours every single day on prospecting and cold outreach. And I think if we do that and arm them with the knowledge that they're probably not going to get through to these people on the first try, the 5th try, the 10th try, the 15th try, but maybe the 20th they are. So enable them with that process and eliminate all of that other admin work that's taking up 3 to 4 hours of their day that is not productive.
I mean, if you factor in that that's taking up half of a week, and that could in essence be automated or at least augmented with a tool, AI, whatever it might be, that's freeing up a sales rep to actually have really good conversations because that machine is working for you. It's working like your personal assistant. That's something that I have said AI should be for the longest time. I want it to be the personal assistant running alongside of me, maybe even running ahead of me, so that, yeah, when I show up to a meeting or I show up on Monday morning, I know what I need to do for the next 5 days. Personally, I don't want to do all that admin outreach. That's not fun for me at all. And I don't know if it is fun for anybody.
No, it isn't. It's busy work, and it makes people feel like they're productive, but it's not driving the productive result that we want. And then the other thing is there's new data out there that says buyers, especially in B2B, before they even consider talking with a sales rep, have done 80% of their decision making up front. 80%.
Say that again.
So the research says that before a B2B buyer talks with a sales rep, 80% of their buying research and decision has been made up before they even talk to a sales rep. So what we
Interesting.
need to do is create buyer enablement. We need to educate and teach people about the value of what we offer, about how we solve their problems. We need to answer the questions that they would ask or historically would have asked on that sales call before that sales call even happens. So we need to think like the buyer, produce content that answers all of those questions and fills in that 80% so that we're the person that they talk to. I think that's where marketing can come into play. But again, it's not a silver bullet. It gets people to that point where it makes your sales rep more effective and allows them to have deeper conversations. So, provide your sales rep and your prospects with the buyer enablement tools that's going to make your sales team way more successful and productive so that they focus their time on somebody that's already educated, that's already pre-vetted, that probably already knows that they have a need.
Yeah.
And let's
What does that
double down on the outreach to those people.
what does that look like? Is that blog articles, case studies, services pages? What does that look like from a tactical standpoint?
It is everything, Brad. It is content around pricing, around objections, content around your competitors, content around transparency in your organization, content around your people. It's podcasts, it's videos, it's ads, it's custom email publications, it's drip marketing, it's marketing automation, it's recruiting ads, it's remarketing ads. It is IP tracking so that you know who's coming to your website.
Yeah.
It's all of the white papers, ebooks, drop-offs, direct mail campaigns. It's all of it. And I shared that statistic earlier, 81 or 82 touches. All of those things that I just mentioned are a touch. So it is no longer, hey, we're going to launch this single campaign and this is going to be our savior. It's we have to do all of these things in order to be successful. It's SEO, it's AIO, it's AEO. There's no shortage of things that we can and should be doing. But if you're sitting back and waiting for your salesperson to do all of those things that I just mentioned, that's what's going to consume their day instead of reaching out and talking to prospects.
We know historically the staffing industry allocates a very small budget to marketing. You might know the percentage offhand. It's less than 1%, right?
It's probably 0.02%.
Okay. Knowing that, and then knowing that the best staffing and recruiting firms are deploying this full marketing system that supports a sales system, I want you to talk to the leader thinking right now, I hear you. This makes sense. You're asking me to allocate a lot of funds to do something that we've never done before. Change is scary. Where am I going to find the money to do this? Where do I even get started? What do you say to that owner?
I would say think through all of those things that I just mentioned. Look historically at what's driven leads. Be great at leveraging AI and be great at leaning on partners and vendors when it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then the ones that I honestly see fail are the ones that say, I can do this all by myself, or my sales rep is going to do this all. Now, I know that's a hard pill to swallow, right? As an owner, if you have a salesperson coming to you and saying, yeah, I don't need marketing support. I don't need anybody to help with list generation. Nobody can do it as good as I can. That's a hard conversation to go back to them and say, absolutely not. We're going to do this for you, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
that's an additional expense that you have to pay. But I want to share
Yep.
a case study. So
Sure, please.
I'm working with a client, and we went through and we would create automation campaigns. So it was a mix of email automation, direct outreach, drop bys, drop offs, sell sheets, ebooks, other resources. So we were leveraging all the great content that they had created, and we were turning that into quarterly campaigns. So quarter on average, you've got 12 weeks. Each week was a different activity, sometimes 2 or 3 activities. Okay. Very structured for the sales rep. For the first half of the year, they're they gave control to the sales rep. The sales rep could choose who they put on this campaign. First half of the year, it drove, we had one campaign each quarter. It drove across the entire company. And this is a company that's got, I don't know, 70, 80 offices, drove like $15,000 in gross margin.
Okay.
15.
Okay.
We put the pause and said, this isn't being used. The sales rep isn't putting the right people on. They're not scaling this. They're not leveraging the tools. They're not thinking and engaging with thought leadership. They're not doing any of this because they think they know what's best. So we said, all right, we're going to pull that back. We're going to choose who goes on this campaign. So launched 2 campaigns in the second half of the year. $1.1 million in gross margin directly tied to the campaign. Yes. Because we went through and we put people on it. We built buyer enablement into it. We educated the market. And then we had very specific follow-up activities that we tracked. Okay. Clear. Night and day difference, right?
100%.
But it is using these tools and it's helping your salespeople be more effective and eliminating the time consuming parts. The reason that it didn't work up front was because they were scrutinizing over every detail of who to put on these campaigns. Because God forbid they put somebody on this campaign that wasn't a fit, that said, hey, kindly take me off of your mailing list. God forbid that happened, right?
Yeah. Or just hits unsubscribe and doesn't say anything.
Right. Now, if they made a call to a receptionist and the receptionist says, no, we're happy with our current vendor, don't ever call here again, and hung up, would they stop cold calling forever? My gosh, no. But because they got an opt-out or 2 in the past, they were so scared to put people on this list. And it held up growth. It held up them closing or getting more chances to close sales. So we took that out of their hands, and the results speak for themselves.
Hey, it's Brad taking a short break to tell you about an offer exclusive to listeners of Take the Stage. 30 minutes of strategic marketing consultation with me, completely free. Hey, whether you're looking to drive more sales or more job applications, I want to help. Visit bit.ly/stage offer. Pick a time that works best for you. That's it. Again, whether you want to drive more applications or more job orders, I want to help. That's bit.ly/stage offer. All right, let's get back to the show.
I mean, you take that part out of their hands to enable them the opportunity to do what they're actually good at, which is having meaningful conversations with prospects.
Right.
Why waste, I'm going to say waste time doing the list management, the admin tasks, as you alluded to, when marketing can support that. So that, again, you wake up Monday morning and you say, listen, call these 5 people. These are warm to hot leads. It's better than sitting down with a cup of coffee and not knowing how you're going to start your day or how you're going to start your week.
Right. Yeah. And starting from scratch every single day, not knowing what to do.
Yeah. I mean, that is very much clawing for business. That's very much grasping at everything you can get. I think as I look at the best staffing and recruiting firms going into 2026, continuing what I've already seen in 2025, it's mirroring the sales and marketing systems. It's knowing, okay, what is our 10 to X number of steps sales process and sales system that we're going to hold our team accountable to? What are they going to do day after day or week after week? And then how is marketing going to provide sort of that either air support or direct support? And do we have all of the resources that your sales team needs to be successful? You know, I had a great call just this past week, Brad, with a really good client. Genuinely really like working with them. And I was talking to their director of sales and we were talking about where there's friction in the process. And that's a question that I ask quite a bit. Either you taught me that or Matt Lozar might have actually taught me that a while ago, is talking about friction and where there's a sticking point, right? And he had said, well, I go out and I don't have anything to give anybody. So if I'm meeting with a receptionist and I don't get to a decision maker, all I have is an old business card. I have nothing else that says anything that we do. It doesn't talk about pain points, resistance, friction, nothing. I said very clearly, like, as soon as you get in your car, they have forgotten about who you are, because you are one of probably 7 to 8 people that are going to show up that day. And all you have is a card. There's nothing that is going to differentiate you in the stack that hiring decision maker might get, or they get tossed to the curb. And it kind of it opened my eyes to the fact of we need to be more strategic in every single step of the process. That pay-per-click advertising can't fix a broken sales system. Digital marketing can't fix a broken sales process. We could have the best campaign, but if you have a broken system at the bottom of the funnel, it goes nowhere.
It does. Yep. And, not exactly the same story, but I'm working right now doing a full marketing strategy with a company in New York City. And when I looked at their website at first, they had, Brad, no lie, probably 20 or 30 different services that they offered, right?
Mm-hmm.
They, training, programs, consulting, all of these different things. And I asked the question, and I always ask this question, break down your revenue for me. Where does your revenue come from, and assign a percentage to it?
Out of those 30 or so buckets?
Yes. 95% of revenue was one bucket. 95.
Okay.
They're spending 80% of their time on 5% of their revenue. And even just like asking that question was a light bulb moment that said, holy cow, if I'm going to really grow in 2026, I need to focus 100% of my time on this 95.
Do you think that's because they didn't do that exercise in the past and they didn't know that number? Or do you think it's because it's hard to grow a staffing firm right now, so it's let's just grasp at any sort of business we can get? Why do you think they were operating like that?
It's probably a little bit.
Because I'm afraid they're not alone.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit of both. But think about being an entrepreneur and growing a business. It's super fun to create new things, right? Like you get excited, you get jazzed about it. And before you know it, it expands. And instead of being specialized, you're trying to do everything for everyone. And you're not doing anything great. And you see time and time again that a lot of the most successful staffing companies or recruiters or people in this industry are the ones that are hyper focused, are super specialized, and who do something extremely well. I think all too often we get diluted and it distracts us.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason you go to a specialist when something is wrong with your body, right? There's a reason that you go see a health specialist to get a very specific, minute detail in your elbow looked at. You're not going to go to a generalist for that.
Right.
I think staffing and recruiting should operate the same way. Go ahead.
Yeah, but to bring that around full circle now, instead of going into that office with just that generic business card, you arm your team with what your company is great at, amazing at, better than anyone else on the planet at. And then that becomes a talking point. Now, is that going to resonate with everyone? No. Should it? No. Right? You're going to pick your battles, but I think then you're going to be way more effective and efficient at closing sales and creating a lot more opportunities to close sales.
I'd rather leave with some sort of value proposition than, we've been in business in Buffalo for 20 years and we'd love to help with your staffing needs.
Right. Yep. Look at Bialy marketing. Bialy marketing's success isn't because we're a extremely successful staffing agency marketing agency. It's because we understand staffing better than any other marketing agency on this planet. That is our differentiator. Could we do marketing across every industry out there? For sure. Would we be as good at it as we are in the staffing industry? Probably not, because we understand it intimately. So that is a very key focus for us, and that's what has helped us grow and scale and be so successful, is because we understand the staffing industry better than any other marketers on the planet.
I want to kind of change topics just for a second here and get your thoughts on AI. I know you're spending a ton of time not only using AI, but researching AI, and you're working with our leadership team on how we implement AI at Bialy Marketing. When you think about where AI is headed in 2026 for staffing and recruiting firms, I don't know if you can project the year, but what do you think the best staffing and recruiting firms are doing differently in terms of integrating AI into their workflows?
Yeah, so I think some have looked at it as, an initial advantage. I think in 2026, it's going to become a necessity. I think over the last few years, the recruiting companies, the ATSs have done a really good job on the recruitment side and embedding and leveraging AI on recruiting. I think we're going to see a shift in 2026 and before I even get there, the companies that were early on that, embedding AI into their recruiting process saw significant growth, right? They were able to source, place, find, screen, vet, interview candidates, onboard candidates way quicker. And we know in staffing, speed wins. So those companies had a huge competitive advantage because they embraced AI on the recruiting side early and saw extreme success there. I think in 2026, we're going to see that shift over to the sales side. So the companies that are going to embrace using AI to help with search engine optimization, embracing AI optimization, and embracing buyer enablement, and thinking through what content enables the buyer and gets them to show up more in AI overviews, AI search, etc. I think the companies that invest heavily in that up front are going to have that same level of advantage, competitive advantage, and are going to grow exponentially in 2026 and beyond.
Yeah.
So I think we are going to see it more embedded on the sales side, continue to grow on the recruiting side, and I want to enable salespeople with the tools, the content, the buyer enablement to make them way more successful. Not replace them, make them way
Yeah.
more successful.
I'd love to share a framework that I've been using for AI lately and get your thoughts on it and also kind of hear where you're getting started. For the show, actually, specifically, there's a lot that we do in post production, right? So we take the video, we chop it up into clips, we do show notes that are different for audio and video. We might put together blog articles, we put together a series of tweets and short form content, we put together LinkedIn content. Um, we do a lot from the show post production side of things. And I was I was actually running a little while ago, and I had ChatGPT on in my ears, and I was talking to my phone ChatGPT. I wear a fanny pack when I run so that I can have my music, whatever, gels. And I was talking to ChatGPT as I'm running, and it was telling me all the things that it could be doing. And I had this sort of light bulb moment. I said, no, I'm not doing anything. What is the easy button? And you do it for me. Because you keep telling me, oh, well, you could be doing this, you could be doing that. No, what is the easy button here, right? So if I want to clip this show into 20 shorts, what is the easy button and how can you help me get to a point where it is as far down the line as possible so that Dustin, our video editor, can come in, get exactly what he needs and get out? And I think having that mentality of what's the easy button for everything that we do day to day, it was sort of this light bulb moment that I had that has now since, yes, it started with the show and sort of the post-production that I do over here, but it's moved into client outreach. It's moved into research for the show. It's moved into, you've seen the GPT I built in terms of sales coaching and sales support. It's finding that easy button that can free me up and enable me to be better, faster, stronger. So I don't have to do all of the nonsense work that I don't want to do, but I have to do.
Yeah. Brad, I want to you doing all the post-production work, everything else is the equivalent of that sales rep coming in the morning and spending 3 hours building a list.
100%.
Right? Your value
100%.
isn't in that post-production work.
100%.
Your value is in having conversations and then using this show, this platform as a way to have deeper, more meaningful conversations with staffing companies that want to scale and want to grow.
Yes.
That's what generates revenue, not the post-production work, not taking this episode and breaking it into 20 clips. Yeah, we have to do that because that provides the touches, that provides the visibility, that provides the reach. But you doing that doesn't drive revenue. So what can we do to not have you do that, but still get the value out of that? That's where AI comes into play. Now, full circle, how does that equate to helping a staffing person sell? Well, let's say we come up with this amazing piece of content, whether it's an ebook, survey, white paper, podcast, webinar, whatever it is. What can we do to break that up into bite-sized pieces, and not just break it up into bite-sized pieces, but customize the message for your different buyer types. So when you're selling staffing, now there's multiple people in that room. There's the CFO. They care about one thing. There's procurement. They care about another. HR cares about another, and operations cares about another. So let's take that piece of content or that thought leadership and let's break it up and massage it and introduce it in a way that speaks to each one of those buyers' pain points. That's your differentiation. It's not your business card. It's that differentiation that's customized for them that answers their biggest pressing need and positions you as the expert. That's the value. That's what our teams, our salespeople need to get to quicker. And I think
100%.
AI can help lead that charge and get to that value quicker.
How great would it be if your sales team could show up when prospecting and have the exact one sheet that they need based on who they're about to talk to or who they're met with? Like Brad's saying, having different persona-driven marketing, right, is the phrase that I might use. You might call it something different, but knowing who it is that you're about to speak to or that you did speak to matters a heck of a lot, right? If you think about your own buying decisions, your own buying behaviors, whether it's staffing or clothes, whatever it might be, why you buy something is different than why your spouse might buy something, different than why your kids buy something. And marketing is speaking to all of those different audiences very differently. We need to be doing the same thing. And that's what, again, the best staffing and recruiting firms are doing differently. They're realizing that it's not just, I need to be blogging or I need to have social media, but it's okay. The challenge is driving orders. What's the sales system? Let's get that right first. What's the marketing system that is going to overlay that sales system? And then do we have the persona-driven marketing that is going to actually speak to the right people at the right time with the right message?
Right. And what's great about this, Brad, is you talk about persona-driven marketing, and that's how I describe it too, right? It's identifying the exact buyer that you're going after and adjusting your messaging that appeals directly to them, creates that emotional appeal, that driver. That was, when you think about it, like taking one campaign and creating 8 different campaigns that each speak to a different buyer, that each key in on a persona. That was cumbersome. That was something only the large international staffing companies could do in the past.
Yep.
AI democratizes all of that. So once we have that piece, we can use these tools, these strategies, these techniques, this AI to help click that easy button and customize all of that messaging for us. Now, it's a little bit more involved than an easy button, right? But you have to use it in the right way and get deep with prompting. Otherwise, it's just going to be all Me Too garbage. But I think that AI in the sales function is going to democratize a lot of that and allow the smaller, medium-sized staffing companies to create amazing outreach that's customized for the buyer, that's way more effective, that completely levels the playing field.
Where does someone get started? We've talked about a heck of a lot over the last 35 minutes or so. If somebody's thinking, first off, you blew my mind, right? I know I need to be doing this because sales are incredibly hard to come by. I've accepted that staffing isn't going to go back to the way that it was. This is the future. This is sort of, I hate the phrase, this is the future, but this is the way the world is shifting. Where do you think people get started?
I think start looking at what your business really is. So take a look at your CRM, export that data out, and use AI to analyze that data. Go in and see where your revenue is really coming from. Is there a vertical? Is there an industry? Is there a type of company? Is there a type of person that you place? Get a real feel for what's driving sales in your business right now. Okay. I think a lot of companies and everyone that I talk to when we do this exercise, they're genuinely surprised when they do that research. And sometimes they'll even uncover an industry or two that is like, holy cow, I did not realize that drove that much revenue. I just did this with a client and they found that their property management services, they had no idea that this was even a growing, emerging industry for them. Property management companies drove a ton of revenue for them. Without doing this exercise, it would have just gone on, maybe growing, maybe, but now they can put a focus on it. So do that analysis up front. Okay. Then I would look to see what you can do to help enable your salespeople. Get them to stop doing the data research, the prospecting, everything in those first 3 to 4 hours of their day. Automate it. Do it for them. Get them those 80 touches so that they can be successful on that 81st touch. And build a process. And they're going to push back, but don't let that stop you from change management. And then I would look at, all right, what can we do right now? What's the low hanging fruit? What's going to take a little bit more effort? And what is the pie in the sky, big ocean idea? And focus on those early wins in Q1, get that going, and then build from there.
I like breaking it down into manageable goals, short-term goals, and then sort of the where do we absolutely want to be pie in the sky at, come 2027. I think as humans, we have a hard time having a huge goal, right? We say like, oh, I want to lose 5 pounds. We don't say, I want to be in a bodybuilding competition. We start sort of with this, I know I can achieve this. That's my goal. We're hedging our bets, right? We know we can achieve it. We know it's not a huge goal, but it's still a goal, and we stress for it and we reach for it. But we don't say like, this is sort of the BHAG, right? The big, hairy, audacious goal, as David or Vicky from our team would say. Who's that? Peter Diamandis. So I like the thought of sitting down and saying, okay, this is our low hanging fruit. These are our short-term goals. This is something we know we can achieve by the end of Q1. Here's if we stretch and we really work towards this, here's where we can get by the end of Q2, our halfway point, as we look at a checkpoint mid-year. And then if we really want to push, here's where we want to be in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. And then thinking through all of those systems, all of those plans, and having a really nice effort at it.
Yeah. And don't second guess yourself, right? Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid if somebody opts out of an email.
Right,
it's like somebody sending you to voicemail, right? It's going to happen. And just do it. Just do it. Stop making excuses. Just do it.
Brad Smith, Chief Strategy Officer over here at Haley Marketing. Brad, if anybody wants to get a hold of you or have a quick conversation, maybe even shoot you a note, how can they get a hold of you?
bsmith@haleymarketing.com, or you can call us at the office, 888-696-2900, or connect with me on LinkedIn.
Appreciate it coming on the show, buddy. Always good talking to you.
Good talking with you too. I appreciate it. Thank you.